We don't want it either. But we have to admit we had a pretty mild winter. I don't know. I mean, was your guys a mild winter or was it pretty normal?
Yeah, it was pretty mild.
Yeah, we had a mild winter. That's what I have to say on it. It was good. I liked it. Considering the last 4 winters I've been in Australia. So
Right?
yeah, yeah. So
Lucky
um,
you.
yep. So welcome to the call, Andrea.
Welcome to the call, Doc.
For those of you who have just joined us, my name is Dr. Kurt Fisnick. This is my friend Andrea. I'm in North Dakota. She's in Michigan. And we've been doing this call now, what, 5 years?
4 years.
4 years. And,
Yep.
bringing you information about how to get healthier, how to make your life easier and live longer. And so today, Andrea, I was reading a couple different things, and I get up in the morning. A lot of times I'll sit there and I'll read, and it's too cold to go outside and play in the morning, so why not read?
Right?
Anyhow, so I thought, why don't we talk about why are we seeing so many more chronic diseases today than we did, say, 40 years ago?
Well, what did your article say?
What the article? Well, I read a couple articles, and really they're blaming it on ultra processed food.
Well, I would think that would be a big contributor.
I just jotted down some notes as I was reading. Of course, here's my page of notes, and it's estimated that 11 million people in the world die every year from ultra processed food.
Wow.
11 million people, and from ultra processed food. 60% of Americans have diseases because of the food they're eating. 60% of Americans have a disease based on the food that they're eating. I would say it's more than that, because if 72% of the population of the United States is overweight, with half of them being obese, wouldn't you say that it has to be at least 72% of Americans suffer from disease caused by food? Too
I
much.
would say that's pretty good correlation.
Yeah. So so I was just reading some of this stuff, and so they're saying that we're depleting the topsoil so quickly
Hmm.
with our farming practices. Before, we used to go out there and we'd did a lot better crop rotation type of programs. We used organic fertilizers. We would put cattle on the ground. The cattle would eat
Yep.
the grass, and they'd refertilize the grass, and and there's a difference between dirt and soil,
Yeah.
right?
Dirt has no nutrients in it whatsoever.
Yeah, dirt and soil. There's a difference between them, and we're depleting the soil, and that's part of the problem. And it's leading to a lot of the diseases that we're seeing, and people say, well, yeah, but and they come up with whatever, yeah, but type of answers, right?
Yeah, but.
And so some of the information I was reading this morning, they said that part of the problem is that we've let the big food industry take over. We've gone
Definitely.
from we've gone from hundreds of small companies. We've gone from lots of small farms that sold their produce, and to where now I mean, I've read some places that say it's like 15 companies control the food industry.
Oh, I would imagine that's true.
Yeah. So you got a dozen or so CEOs sitting up there in their protective silo, deciding what the rest of the world's going to eat, and then they get the government, in the United States. I don't know about the rest of the world, but we'll just talk about the
Right.
United States, to provide subsidies, right?
Hmm.
And the rest of the world does subsidies too. The farmers get paid subsidies, and because we don't know what the crops are going to be like. I mean, it could snow in May and wipe out crops in parts of the world, right? we could get extreme droughts and things like that. So I'm not disagreeing with the subsidy program, but I think in some ways we're doing it wrong, because in the last 40 years, we've gone from all those companies, hundreds of smaller food companies, to now where we just have let's say a couple dozen. It's a $15 trillion industry. Food is a $15 trillion industry. That's 17% of the world's economy.
That's a lot of money.
How big is it? How big is it? So I did some reading. Did you know that General Motors spends more money on healthcare than they do on steel?
No.
Think about that. They spend more money paying for healthcare for their employees than they do on steel to make the cars that you drive.
Wow.
General Motors. Starbucks pays more for healthcare than they do for coffee beans.
Well, it took a drastic jump 20 years ago.
I mean, that's, in my opinion, some pretty amazing numbers. I mean, think about it, right? Everybody has a car, but to drive that car, we have to pay for all the health care of all these people, right? And then that car has tires on it. So Firestone or Goodyear. Hey, did you know that Goodyear just bought out Cooper, by the way? Cooper tires?
No.
Yeah, Goodyear
Let's
just bought out
eliminate a
Cooper.
few more companies.
Yeah, Goodyear just bought out Cooper last month. And so, you know, one of the, I guess I was buying Cooper tires because they were a little bit cheaper, but now what's going to happen to that? They'll probably go up. But, you know, my friend does healthcare for Cooper. That's how I found that out. And does Cooper, you know, if GM and Starbucks are paying more for healthcare than they are, you know, the raw product, I bet Cooper is too. And I bet Goodyear is too, and Firestone. So we're paying for this. So when we drive that car, you can figure that, you know, over half, you know, I don't know how much, but a lot of it went into paying for healthcare for people.
Right.
Right. And so
it's one of the biggest expenses out there for anybody's overhead. Yep.
Yeah. So think about it. So if the food industry is creating this food that's bad for us, this Frankenfood that's creating this food that's bad for us, that's causing cancer and heart disease and diabetes and obesity and all these other different things. And then our healthcare system is coming along and taking care of us because we're fat and we got diabetes, we got cancer, we got heart disease. And then the money that you pay for your car is paying GM so they can pay for the healthcare for those people. I mean, I mean, they got our money coming in for the car. They got our money coming in for the healthcare. They got our money coming in for the food. And then these big food giants, Andrea, then they go to the government and they, hey, Mr. Biden, Mrs. Harris, hey, let me skim a few hondos off the top of here for you. And why don't you make it so that that you subsidize us even more, so that we can produce even more of this crappy food, so we can make more people sick, and it'll drive the other industries. It'll. I mean, crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's all corrupt.
$15 trillion a year. %72 of Americans are overweight. Half of those people, so 36%, are obese. %2 of farmland. You like this when I get numbers like this? 2% of farmland goes into growing vegetables and fruits.
Okay. The rest is growing corn and soy.
59% of farmland goes into growing commodities like corn, wheat, and soybeans. Wow, right? And that makes
feed a lot more people.
60% of our diet is corn, wheat, and soy based.
Right, but it's not. That's all full of glyphosates. Those three crops.
But let's not even get into that subject. We won't even get into that subject today. Okay, we'll just talk about. So wheat is actually healthy for you, you know, And soy used to
If
be
it's
healthy
whole
for you.
wheat, if they're,
Corn used
yeah.
to. Corn is healthy for us, but we don't eat the corn, we don't eat the wheat, we don't eat the soy. We eat the ultra processed product made from that. They take a lot of the vitamins and minerals out of that, and they use that for the other things, like feeding cattle.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just crazy. So do you know who Dr. Mark Hyman is?
No.
Dr. Mark Hyman has written a lot of good books. Look him up, Hyman. Anyhow, he's written a lot of good books on healthcare, and he says that for every 10% of our diet that comes from ultra processed food, it's going to increase our risk of death by 14%.
Wow. Did you say Mark?
Mark Hyman, Hyman. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured you did. I thought you mentioned it before. So for every 10% of your diet that comes from processed food, you increase your risk of early death by 14%. So let's say you eat 2,000 calories, right? And 200 calories comes from 2 slices of bread. That's 10%. 2 slices of bread, Andrea. That's 10% if you're eating a 2,000 calorie a day diet.
Right.
That increases your risk of early death. It increases your risk of early death by 14%. And
well, you've got to look at.
I'm telling you, for most people, they're not just eating 2 slices of bread a day. They're having 2 slices of bread. They're having a bowl of cereal. They're having their mac and cheese. They're having their can of ravioli, Chef Boyardee, you know. So they're getting 50% of their diet. So it increases their risk of early death by 14% for every 10%. Come on. And then we start talking about, you know, the global warming, the climate change. That's another topic that we really don't want to get into on here because it's you know, but did you know that because of our farming practices, we've released 133 billion tons of carbon from the soil that's gone into the atmosphere? And it drives the global warming.
You know that if you look at the map for the oxygen being released, that most of the farming all across the Midwest is releasing more oxygen than the rainforest.
Wow, because of all the crops, the corn and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, all these big crops that we're raising are sucking up all the water out of the ground. And so they're saying we're depleting the source of water, the natural aquifers.
Well, you're full of good information today.
Isn't that great? So there you go. That was what I wrote down today.
That's devastating.
Right? I mean, think about those numbers that I just threw at you, Andrea. I mean,
right.
I was just totally surprised when I read that if you buy a new Chevy pickup today, most of your more of your money is going into paying for health care for those employees than buying steel to build that truck.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
It surprised the heck out of me. A cup of coffee, I don't buy Starbucks, by the way.
You better not.
I don't believe in that company, but they spend more on healthcare than they do on coffee beans.
Yeah, that surprises me because I think most of their workers are part-time. So they probably don't have a lot of health insurance.
The UN, United Nations, says that in some of their studies, some of their more recent studies, they're saying that if we take a look at the minerals in the soil, if we continue to farm the way we are, we've got 60 more years of raising crops.
Well, they're predictors of bad stuff for sure.
But think
But
about
what
that.
we have to
United
do is,
United
well, we,
Nations. United Nations said six
well,
six more decades of producing crops the way we are right now. I mean, that's the rest of my life. And you're saying it's going to be, well, of course they want to cut back on the population. Oops, that's another topic.
don't go there.
We won't even go there. You know, so Andrea, what's the solution? That's what people want to know. They want to know, you know, what can we do about it?
Well, the ultimate solution would be to come up with different farming practices.
Come up with different
But
farming
other
practices.
than that, other than us not being in control of those huge farming corporations, and people sucking up all the acreage right now that want to do more of that,
Oh, who did that?
it looks like we have to, pardon?
Who did that? Who's buying up acreage?
Oh, you know who did that.
Right, the guy who's running my computer right now, the guy who has the software that my computer runs on. He just bought. He's
I
the
would
largest. He's the largest farmer in North America. I mean, that's
I
like
would
saying
define him a
that's
little
like saying
differently.
that's like saying he's a doctor.
Well, not only him, but Bezos is too. The guy who just stepped down from Amazon.
Oh, he's a farmer now. He's not a computer guy.
No, Bezos. He was owner of Amazon.
Amazon. Oh, okay, but he's
Yeah,
a farmer now.
He's a farmer. He's a farmer. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what he
There
is,
must
but
there must be some good farm subsidies coming now that we have our new president in place. Well, wait, we won't talk politics, but we won't even talk about that, Andrea. Come on,
so what do
don't
we
go there.
want to talk about, Doc? We want to
So
talk about supplements?
the solution to it. Hang on, my dog is pulling that. Hang on, come here. He gets tangled up in his cord, and then he doesn't know what he's doing, so he just keeps walking, and he pulls the cord out, knocks the computer on the floor. But you know, so Andrea, look, we're not farmers, right? And I can't change. I'm not a politician, you know, and obviously we know from last year's election we can't change politics, right? And but really the solution would be, if they really wanted to fix it, the solution would be is that we tell the farmers, hey, look, we're going to give you subsidies to raise fruits and vegetables. We're gonna create a market for you, so that you know, instead of giving the schools and the prisons and places like that these commodities to get rid of the corn and the wheat and things like that, we're gonna give the schools lots of fresh vegetables. We're gonna give truckloads of fresh vegetables to the schools to give to the kids.
Have you ever seen what foods they give the kids in school?
Oh yeah. But I'm just saying, this is how the solution. This is the solution, right? Okay. I mean, we're talking about solution. So there is a solution for all this. I mean, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole that we're going down, and we can change all this, right? We can change how we use the subsidy programs. We can, you know, so that the farmers are still paid to raise their crops, but we just change the crops a little bit. And then instead of ultra processing your food, get the fresh food out to people. Teach people how to, like last year, I raised a little garden, a little vertical garden out here. I mean, I had beans and onions and tomatoes. I had more than I needed for myself. I was giving food away. And I have a little vertical garden that's 4 feet wide, 4 feet tall.
Yeah,
4
I
feet
think
wide.
there's a big movement right now across the country of people, especially people in their 30s. They're all getting their chickens and they're growing their veggies in the summer and stuff. There's a big movement toward that. Yeah.
some people are, but not enough to really make a big difference. So I mean, so we need to change that kind of system. And then we just need to educate people that, hey, look, you know, I mean, if they're recommending that 50% of your diet should come from fruits and vegetables, but they're only using 2% of the farmland to raise those fruits and vegetables, there's something wrong there, right? And we look at you know, chronic disease like arthritis and diabetes and heart disease and cancer rates, those, you know, Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, kidney disease, those rates are going sky high, Andrea. I lost your sound.
Yeah, I
There
know.
you are.
I was trying to quiet down the environment here a little bit.
Okay. So, Andrea, you can tell I'm, I'm pumped up about this. I mean, when I read stuff like this, it gets me going because it's like, holy cow, no wonder, this person that I knew died from cancer, and that person I know is dying from heart disease, and that person I know, died of a heart attack at 54 years of age. Come on, that's not normal.
Right.
That's not normal. And so what can we do about what's the immediate answer to it? Is that, Andrea, we have to make changes for ourselves. We have to decide, look, I'm going to go to the grocery store and I'm going to avoid all those aisles where you buy all the processed food. I'm going to go
Uh-huh.
around the outside edges. I'm going to buy all the fresh produce that I possibly can. I mean, as fresh as I can in Fargo, North Dakota. Right?
Yep.
I
I
mean, it's
never
not,
shop in the middle.
you have to buy some stuff out of the middle, like spices and things like that, because,
Not much.
but the spices, yeah, and stuff like that, and condiments and stuff like that. But, but teach people that. That's what they should be taught. I mean, in high school,
Mhm.
I don't remember being really taught that kind of stuff. I mean, it was, and that was back in the 70s, and they need to teach people how to eat healthy. And eating a pizza,
Right.
isn't healthy.
Well,
But
ultimately, it's the parents' responsibility to teach their kids that stuff.
it is, but if the parents weren't taught right, then how you get to teach the parents, right? And so we gotta, I mean, but maybe right now while everybody's homeschooling, they could do that. But
Well, every meal should be a lesson.
even if you eat right, even if I go to the grocery store today and I go around the outside edge and I buy all my fresh produce and things like that, Andrea, let's be honest. Am I getting what I need? Am I getting the vitamins I need?
Now, we've talked about that, good Lord, 2 dozen times or more, that, you can go on the agricultural website from the government and compare how many nutrients you're getting in today's broccoli compared to 30 years ago, and it's drastically reduced. You can look up any food in there that you want to and
That's right.
discover that that's what's going on.
Yep, that's exactly it. The food doesn't have the nutrition that it used to have. So really you can't, unless you're a real careful shopper. And even then, I mean, organic food, when you see the word organic, it doesn't really mean anything anymore. The big food giants, the 15 big food giants, they bought that word. So it means nothing.
Mhm.
I mean, it's maybe excuse me, it's maybe a little better than eating just regular produce, but
Right. So, what else do you want to talk about? We got about 7 minutes here.
all right. So how do we get it so that people can actually be healthy? As we teach them, okay, so Andrea, number one, why are we so overweight in this country? And obesity is like 36% of people, right? 72% of people are overweight. And so we could change that by getting people to realize, like this whole keto thing, that is good for a lot of people. Hang on one second. Bruiser, stop.
Control your child.
Yeah, I know. He's sitting there chewing on a movie, a Walt Disney movie. But like he's gonna learn
That's a
anything
good
by
one to
eating.
chew up.
He's gonna learn something by eating it. But so we got. I think keto. I mean, it's working for me. Is it for everybody? No. There's going to be a certain group of people that's not good for. But if you want to burn fat as energy, you got to put your body into a fat burning mode, and that's ketosis. And so
Right. Well,
whether
you want to
you're
burn fat.
whether you're doing a paleo diet or a vegan diet or whatever, you want to put your body into a fat burning mode so that it burns fat first. And that's keto,
Right.
right? So it doesn't matter what diet you're doing. Like a friend of mine asked me the other day, he said, well, I'm on a paleo diet. Can I do keto? And I said, yeah, just because you're doing
Mhm.
keto doesn't mean you have to eat bacon.
Mhm.
And I mean, you just gotta learn how to eat within whatever diet you want to be on. If you want to do a paleo diet, eat lots of nuts and seeds. I don't care. coconut oil, MCT, is some of the best oil you could. You don't need bile to digest coconut oil. Did you know that? You don't need bile
Yeah, you
fats
told
for it.
us that last week.
Yeah, so you remember that. Anyhow, so that, I think that's really good. So I like the product that we came out with, the Sizzle Thin, and we're not going to get into a big discussion on weight loss or anything like that, but it triggers your body, it hacks your system to make it so your body goes into ketosis, because otherwise it can take a month or more for some people to go into ketosis. And you screw it up, you have one piece of bread and you can screw it up.
Ultimately,
Bruiser.
ultimately, you want to burn fat, not muscle,
Yep, you want to
because you
burn
want to
fat.
maintain your muscle. So whatever you're doing, you need to maintain the muscle.
That's right.
People
Yeah.
go into these, crazy one food diets and single, you know, crazy little diets like that, like the one I shared with you that I went into, I don't know, 10 years ago, burned all my muscle off my body.
Yep.
You can't do that because you need that muscle.
Hang on one second. Chewy, come here. I got two dogs now, so I got to watch them both, and they
We
don't know how
better
to use
tap
it.
out. You
They don't
can't
know
control
you.
your kids. We better tap out.
But this is so, Andrea, this is why we need to use vitamins. This is why we need to use supplements, and I can
Right.
go through on and on and on. And because of the diet that we're eating today, we didn't even get into talking about the fats. When you and I have talked about that, healthy fats versus bad fats, and the omega-6s cause chronic low-grade inflammation in the body. And everybody's getting crazy about this keto diet, but then they go and they start eating these fats that are loaded with the omega-6s, which cause chronic inflammation. Well, if you have inflammation, your body's not going to lose weight because you're going to retain all that water weight. So you might be on a keto diet, but at the same time, you might not be losing weight because you're retaining all that water because of the inflammation.
Right.
So you have to balance out the omega-6s with the omega-3s. And right now in America, we're at a 16-to-1 ratio. It should be at least a 4-to-1 ratio, and we could get into talking about that. We could get into talking about most people are not getting enough of their B vitamins. There's a B12 vitamin deficiency in this country. We could talk about vitamin D. There's a vitamin D deficiency in this country. We could talk about vitamin K. There's a vitamin K deficiency in this country.
Magnesium.
Magnesium.
You know what? Here's the deal. You and I have talked about all of this over the last year. We have these lives stored in our Facebook page, Doctor's Clinic, Doc Biz with Friends, and anybody can go in there. It's a public page. Go back and scroll through. I've tried to title some of it so it's very easy to understand what we talked about. You can just scroll back and get a lot of this information that Doc's talking about right now.
It's all there. But today's talk with why do we need to go back and look at that stuff? Why do we need to look at it? And there's 4,000 nutrition companies producing supplements, and they want your business. And most of them don't have a product that's worth the cost of the bottle. You could drive down the road, throw the vitamins out, eat the bottle, and the bottle costs more to make the bottle costs more to make than the product itself. There's only a handful of companies that I would trust, and Sizzle is my main company because I believe that we make some of the best products on the market. We formulated them together, so we put this and that and this and that in there, so you're not having to go out and buy a vitamin B product and a vitamin D product and a vitamin C product. It's all in there. You can buy a formulation. Right. And Tom and his son, Tom Jr., considered master formulators because of that. But the other thing, Andrea,
they do the
is
research and they put the correct amount in for the effective work of what they're putting it together for. So, you and I are obviously sold on Sizzle, as are thousands of other people. The main thing is, if you're going to buy supplements, why waste your money?
Why waste your money? Yeah, you'd be better off buying our product and taking a third dose, and you're getting more than if you went out and bought a product that was a third of the price.
Yeah. for sure.
because our product is so much more heavily concentrated, and it's so much more bioavailable. But yeah, there's only about a dozen companies, a handful of companies that I would even think about buying products from. Out of the 4,000
Mhm.
nutrition companies out there, I've done my research on a lot of them. I mean, I'm not going to say I know all the companies. There might be one more company that I haven't found yet, but most companies, they fairy dust it, and they put a little bit of a product in there, and they say, oh, it's in there. But
Right.
what they don't tell you is that to make the product look good, they say it's in there, like we're talking about, but then they add stuff that shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, we've
Add,
talked about that too.
they add stuff that shouldn't be in there, and that's what I like about Sizzle, is that we have that certified GMP, good manufacturing
Mhm.
practices rating, that CGMP rating, and what that means is that what we say on our labels, what's in the product, nothing more and nothing less. And we
Right.
guarantee
And
that.
any surprise visit from the FDA when they come in, it has to be that way.
That's right. I was talking to Tom last year before he passed away, Tom Senior, and he said, "Yeah," he said, "the FDA is here right now." He
Mm-hmm.
said, "They're in the factory and they're going through the products, and they do that." So
Yep.
so yeah. Anyhow, Andrea, important stuff, isn't it? I mean, when you start
Yep.
thinking about the numbers, I mean, holy cow! General Motors spends more on healthcare than they do on steel. Starbucks spends more on healthcare than they do on coffee beans. I mean, think about that. They don't sell healthcare; they sell coffee.
Right.
And
Yep. It's time for everyone to start thinking about how to get healthy.
yep, and you're not going to do it by going to by trusting the mass media.
No, you got to be get healthy and be a strong warrior.
Yeah, I'm an advocate of good health. I'm an advocate of teaching people. I'm an advocate of you learning, educate
Yes,
yourself, because
that's
if
why
you
we
don't
come on here.
if you don't educate yourself, nobody else is going to do it for you, Andrea.
No, but we are educating people and have been for 4 years on this little channel here. So um, all they got to do is tune in and they're going to hear some great information.
Tune in every Tuesday. Tune in
Every
Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Tune
noon
in
Eastern
Tuesday.
time. Yep,
All right. So we'll be back to noon Eastern time next week.
that's right.
All right. Andrea, I'll let you close out the call. People, thanks for being here with us today. Hope you learned something. If you didn't, let me know. If you did, give me a thumbs
I
up.
think we did, Doc, and we pretty much closed out the call. So you have a great day.
All right. Bye.
Everyone else too. Bye.